Here we go. Welcome to FT. Scotty Braun, Erik Kratz, AJ Pierzynski. Like this video right now, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also hear us talk right away about Paul Skenes. We're charging the mound right from the jump because Kyle Gibson's joining us soon. We'll ask him about Skenes, of course, too. But soon after the show ended on, Wednesday, we hear the news about Paul Skenes for Saturday. So at least we can get ourselves all prepped and ready. Make sure that your weekend plans are set to check out Paul Skenes with the Shadows at home for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Who's the most excited out of you two that wants to start? Who's got the more excited face? You think it's Kratz?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go ahead, former Pirate.
Mr. Pirate.
Mr. Pirate, what do you got for us?
Yar, I'll bring my hook and my eye patch out. What a great opening for us. Paul Skenes, and then we talk about charging the mound? Like, is somebody going to charge the mound in his debut? Look, obviously, this guy has been not just hyped. It's the real deal. What he did for the national championship LSU Tigers in the SEC, as much as I'll hate on the SEC because it's fun to watch AJ squirm, this is a real deal pitcher. Is he Strasburg? I don't know. I hope he's better than Strasburg because I don't think he wants to be known as, wow, he's not quite as hyped as Strasburg was, or he has all this. They both came out of college. They're both throwing triple digits. The difference is Strasburg got to face the Pirates. A bunch of my teammates who were called up from AAA to face Strasburg, and he mowed through them. I think it'll be less strikeouts, but I think Pittsburgh better show up on a Saturday day game, midday game, and wear all black like it's a blackout, because this could be the start of something new in Pittsburgh.
And it's a team he'll have to beat pretty frequently.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Chicago Cubs. They're flying high right now.
But also, let's not forget, there's two things about this. One, they wanted it at home, so they could get the gate.
That's fair.
100% fair. And two, why now? Why they wait this long? I guess they got him built up to what he threw 6 innings his last time out.
85 pitches.
Yeah, so he's at the point where he can go to 100 if they want to push him. They held him down. They kept him back, but he's ready. And listen, anytime you have Livy Dunn on your TikTok and you're showing you waking up from a nap and celebrating, it's a big deal for Major League Baseball because she has a lot of followers and a lot of people probably don't even know who Paul Skenes is before she started dating him. So good for the Pirates, good for Paul Skenes. Congratulations. I can't wait to watch Saturday. This is kind of must-watch TV now on Saturday to see how he does against a team that's playing really well right now in the Cubs.
Yeah, his numbers in AAA at Indianapolis this year were pretty good. 27 1/3 ERA at 9.99, 45 strikeouts. So almost, what is that? A little less than 2 strikeouts per inning. That's good.
Good math.
Exhausting.
Good math, Mark. Miami grad.
Thank you. Let's get some word from our Baseball America friends. So we have our prospect profile from BA's Jeff Ponce as we talked about Paul Skenes. Oh, maybe not. We'll go back to that in a little bit. Stand by.
Waiting just like for Paul Skenes.
Yeah, I think it's just the ability to command that really fearsome stuff, that 100+ mile per hour fastball. And I think the other thing that stuck out to me over the course of that period was just how he's expanded the pitch mix. He showed that splinter. There's a changeup that he's throwing now as well. There's a makings of a curveball that's different from the slider. Even the slider that he was throwing in the spring breakout game looked different from the slider that he had at LSU. And, I've heard some talk that he has a couple different slider shapes. So I think that sort of alleviates any questions we had in terms of if this guy just being a fastball slider guy. I think he's a lot more than that.
That sounds scary in terms of arsenal. The debate about him in college was about the fastball. You guys remember that? We talked about it during our draft show last year. Is it a dead zone property fastball? It's the trendy term that they call it because it's similar vertical and horizontal movement.
It's 100.
Trevor May talks about this a lot too. It is 100. And also, AAA competition is incredibly different from Major League competition. So you want to see how it plays.
But we also saw him punch out Jackson Holliday in that video they just showed with a hundo. So, I mean, listen, I'm sure there's some good players in this AAA teams he's facing. It's like he's facing, 15-year-old high school team,
Sure.
So, I mean, listen, Paul Skenes has pitched in the biggest stages you can pitch in up until this point, whether it's the LSU College World Series, whatever you want to say, and he's done it. So now it's time for him to take the next step, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it goes well. If it doesn't, he'll start over and try again.
Well, let's get some pitcher perspective. Our first guest of the day, we'll ask him about it. Kyle Gibson of the St. Louis Cardinals joining us right now on FD Lab. Let's bring him in. Kyle, great to see you again. It's been a minute. And how are you? But also, I'd like to ask you right off the jump if you've seen video of Paul Skenes.
Yeah, how's it going, guys? I think the best video I've seen was the one I just saw here on deck being queued in. Talked a little bit to Newt Barr, just hearing him talk about, facing him a little bit and just kind of how unique some of that is. At least I think he was talking about him. I don't know. He was talking about a really explosive fastball, so I'm guessing that was him. But no, I mean, I think you see the video there. Like AJ said, it's 100 late life in the zone coming from a big body guy. If you can learn a little bit of a wrinkle and work on the splinker or whatever you guys were talking about, I think you can make it play pretty good.
Is that lazy of us in baseball to just see 100 miles an hour and be like, you know what? That's cool. He throws 100 too. Like, it's another neat thing. Like, you've got 10 years in the big leagues. You're not throwing 100. You got a 3.64 ERA. You're an established big leaguer. Are we dumbing down 100 in Paul Skenes like world that he's living in right now?
I mean, I think I wouldn't call it dumbing down. I just think we've seen so many more guys year to year doing it. So it's, becomes probably not less of a shiny toy, right? But I mean, when you had that guy that would come up, throwing 97 to 100, you'd be like, ooh, we got some velocity now in the bullpen, or we got this guy doing that. No, I don't think so, because I think there's real value, as you can take your fastball from 93 to 95 and 95 to 97. I think that's why you see a lot of guys trying to get that extra mile an hour or two here and there, because, there's real data that backs up that, the more your heater plays up in velocity, it obviously plays everything else up a little bit more, and it eventually equates into giving up less runs. And I can tell you, there's a lot of times where I'd like to give up less runs. So the velo is a real thing that just makes hitters make a decision a little bit quicker. And then if you can turn that into pitching and really using your off-speed stuff off of it, wow, it's a weapon that you can't replicate.
Gibby, I just got to ask you, when you were brought up, was there this much hype? Because you were a high pick and you were a Twins guy. I mean, you didn't get the whole video, did you, when you first came up with the Twins?
No, I don't think there was quite this much hype for me coming up. I think it was cool for me. I mean, once again, it wasn't like the same, but I think being a first round pick in 2009, and then had Tommy John in AAA, unfortunately, in 11, and recovered in 12. And obviously that pushed things back a little bit. But, for me, it was really cool because the Twins gave me, 4 or 5 days in Miami. I think I got called up in Miami. We had a series there. So I had, 3 or 4 days to get acclimated to everything, and then made, my home debut against the Royals. So, I don't think it had this quite much hype as some of these guys do now. But for me, there was a lot to it. It was pretty awesome.
Gabby, where do you think the delineation is between a Paul Skenes in the first round and a Kyle Gibson in the first round? Because everybody hears like, whoa, first rounder, unbelievable. And then you talk about Paul Skenes, he's a first rounder. So where do you think that delineation is? Where do you think that line is of, okay, maybe after the 5th pick, maybe a deeper draft, maybe after this pick?
I don't know. If we're honest, right? You really can't tell what a guy is going to be and do until he gets there and establishes himself as the player he is, right? You would have to ask Twins, excuse me, Twins scouts and Twins front office. I don't know if they expected me to be a frontline ace for 10 years in their rotation. I have no idea. But I mean, I think you get to a certain point in the draft where you're looking at guys and how they're going to fit into your system. And when you're taking any type of player in those first 10 picks, I would say, you're probably trying to pick a player who is going to impact your organization on a different level than most other players can coming out of the draft. Yeah, you can get guys in free agency that are going to impact your team like that, but I think that's where you see, the extra hype and the extra, excitement around it is that, when you're a 1-1 or anywhere in that top 5 to 10 picks, you're a team that probably went, that was probably struggling. So you're going to a team that was struggling. They're looking to you to kind of help be that, propellant to get moving forward.
Kyle, can you help me explain the modern terminology for how a fastball plays? And I mean that in the way that velocity isn't the only factor with a heater, of course, and we keep getting smarter on how to evaluate that and how to even potentially change that. I mentioned earlier, like dead zone fastballs, late movement, of course, but describing what Skenes could have, Hunter Green and Nate Eovaldi, right, where it's not necessarily their best pitch, or they've had to work on that pitch to maybe make it a little less flat. So can you help describe that versus, say, what we're seeing from Shota Imanaga right now, right, and how that fastball plays? Just give the differences. I think some people think like it goes straight, and the harder you throw it, the more effective it's going to be.
Yeah, so I've never really heard the term dead zone heater. So that was, excuse me, that was new for me with how you're, describing the movement. But no matter how hard you throw, your fastball tends to set the timing for the hitter and tends to set their eyes on something that they have to adjust off of. In my case, right, if I'm throwing my two-seam / sinker, whatever you want to call it, and if I'm shooting for a certain number or a certain angle on that, and say it gets to a 12 vertical instead of an 8 or a 7, it has that appearance of being flatter, which takes away the sink to it. So when you talk about the dead zone, I assume that's kind of what it is, right? That 15 vert. It probably tends to be more of a average movement. Okay, it doesn't have average velocity, but average movement. So when you're looking at that, it's gonna, even though it's gonna be harder, it's gonna appear like certain heaters, right? Then you have Felix Bautista or Ryan Helsley, those two closers who have extra hop on their heater. So even if it's 95, it doesn't come down. It's just different, right? When you're looking at velocity and how it plays differently, to me, that has a lot to do with location or where you're releasing the ball. Obviously hitters only have so much time to make a decision if they want to swing or not. So the closer you are to home plate can make that a lot harder, or where you throw that fastball can make that decision a lot harder. For me, the best example I can give is against right-handed hitters, is that when I'm, able to establish my two-seam inside to those hitters and they're always aware of it, my goal then is to throw 3 other pitches that look like that inside fastball and have it start on a line that they can't decide which one it is until it's too late. So that's where I think, even at 91 to 93, if I'm pitching and if I'm executing fastballs in different parts of the zone, it can make them still have to make a decision early enough to where they can't hold off on the changeup. They can't hold off on the slider sweeper. And really, that's what inside cutters really helped me with on lefties. And it kind of evened up those splits from time to time, is when I have a good fastball inside to make them make a decision just a little bit sooner, that I can get away with those changeups and two seams down the way.
Makes total sense now. Can you tell me, do you have a splinker?
No, I do not. That's a new one. That's a new one.
Is that? I'm assuming that's a split sinker like Duran throws in Minnesota.
Yeah,
even is that?
Yeah, I have one. I don't know how he throws that pitch 98 miles an hour or whatever it is, but it's incredible to be able to.
You can't do. They didn't teach you that when you were with Minnesota. They didn't teach you the splinker at 98.
I'm not sure what they were waiting on. They had me for 10 years. What are we doing?
Yeah, right. I can't figure it out. I mean, man,
I needed that pitch a long time ago. Yeah, I don't know. I understand how we're classifying pitches a little bit different, right? The main one is a sweeper, right? But you look at a guy like Adam Ottavino, he probably has not thrown, he didn't change his pitch and it's still moving the same, and it was always called a slider, right? But now that we can really put numbers to how much something is moving or appearing to move, a splinker, if it's not quite a sinker, not quite a split, it's in the middle. Call it whatever you want to call it, I guess.
Do you have a death ball? Doesn't Russ Stripling have a death ball? Do you have a death ball?
Names of pitches are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Major League 2 was on TV last night. And I guess you can just name it whatever you want, really. So, I guess I need to come up with something like that. But
and you get to tell the hitter, though, if you hit it, you can rename it, and then they're going to be some
you hit
names.
it, you name it, right? Yep.
Yeah. You say he was watching the A's game
that was the
last
scene I was
What?
watching.
You said he was watching the A's game last night?
Yeah, no.
Stop
That was
it.
Major League One.
Stop it. Yeah.
Hey, all right. Let's get to you and let's get to St. Louis. I mean, first, just general easy one. We have a ton of Cardinals fans that watch this show. They're like, what's going on? Why didn't we get a faster start?
It's everybody wants to get off to a great start, right? We're looking at ourselves and having conversations and figuring out, how we can, quote, right this ship and get back going the right direction. But, I think one thing that has been encouraging is that, we've been able to throw the ball really well and pitch and stay in games. And if we look at, our record, obviously we're not where we want to be, but there really has not been many games that a hit here or a little bit better pitch there flips the whole game. So, even just the other night, we had, bases loaded or first and second and 2 outs and a chance to take the lead even up to the ninth inning. So for our hitters, being a few of them in a slump, how they are, our defense and pitching has been able to keep us in ball games, and it's only a matter of time until as many good hitters as we have as they break out. Kratz and AJ, you guys know as well as anybody, if you have 5 or 6 guys who aren't feeling right, those other 4 guys, it's tough to carry the whole load. And, and our guys have been kind of shifting in and out of that, good feeling at the plate. So they're working hard. They're putting in the time because that's the identity of these hitters. There's nobody who's being complacent and lacks urgency. That's for sure. They're just trying to put together some at-bats and try to get that good feeling back.
Such a pitcher to blame the hitters. I get it. I see what you're doing.
No.
I thought you were a starter. No, I know you're not blaming the hitters. You're not blaming the hitters.
So the thing, like starting pitching and pitching in general can only bring so much to a team. Like we can't change the team's confidence, right? Like the team's overall confidence comes from the hitters going up there and putting the fear in the other pitcher, right? Like our job is to bring as much consistency as possible, to put up as many zeros early and take the pressure off those guys. And that's really what we're trying to do is say, listen, like you guys don't need to try harder, right? Like just do what you're doing and keep putting in the work. And when the time comes, we're going to go through a couple week stretch where guys aren't going to be able to get us out. And then all of a sudden you rattle off, 10 out of 12 or 10 out of 13 and you feel really good. But I mean, it's a whole team thing. There's, you guys have always been in locker rooms as well that have certain conversations and trying to talk through things. And, we brought in a few new guys and people that haven't been here and, still meshing together, trying to figure out that team identity and get it all going the right way.
I'm not sure if you'll be able to answer this, but more of your view of it. I've made a comment the other day and somebody quote tweeted me on Twitter saying, because I said that the Cardinals lineup is always changing. There's always, whether it's for injuries, whether it's for sending guys down, it's always changing. Do you feel like if there's more of a consistent lineup, the Cardinals would be better? Or do you feel like if you can't answer that, do you feel like when you face a lineup that is a consistent lineup and you always know that there is some type of damage in a certain part of a lineup, that's a tougher lineup to face? Or a lineup that's like, oh, wait, he hit 7th yesterday. Now he's hitting 2nd against me. What does that mean?
I think it can go a few different directions, right? I think your first part of the question is a much better question for a hitter, right? Because, the more I've talked to certain hitters, they definitely like to hit in certain places. They're definitely more comfortable in certain certain parts of the lineup, whether that's third, so they hit in the first inning, fourth, more people on base, whatever it is. And then you have certain hitters that don't care. So when it comes to that lineup construction, I don't know that I can sit here and say that if we would turn it around and bat somebody ninth that it makes a big difference. That's not trying to dodge the question. I just think that's hitters have a much better idea of where they're comfortable. Some guys just want to have a bat in their hand and go up there and hit. Pitching wise, I think mixing it up actually can add a little bit to it. Maybe not always difficulty, but just switching up the flow, right? So I'm going to face the Brewers here. Just faced them a couple of weeks ago. If somebody's hitting in a different spot, doesn't necessarily change how I pitch them per se, but you do have different guys batting behind them, different lineup construction, and maybe it takes that situation and changes it a little bit different with what I have to do against that guy. But I mean, really, it's, I wouldn't say it's too much different having a guy batting second versus fourth or fifth versus sixth. I guess it can change if it, stacks 3 or 4 lefties in a row or stacks 3 or 4 righties in a row. But for the most part, I think it's just where they're comfortable.
Gibby, obviously the Wilson Contreras thing just sucks, right? Did you talk to your catcher? And I know you're a sinker ball guy, right? So were you one of the? And I'm not blaming you, so I don't want you to not blame you. But like everybody's like move up, right? Move up. I mean, if you see the picture of him from the side, I mean, he was like on the plate almost, right? Is there a point where you're like, man, him being out for 8 to 10 weeks is not worth stealing 2 strikes. We need his bat in the lineup, right? So how do we stop this? And especially with you being a sinker ball guy, you need that low pitch. So how do we get to where, hey, we can back up enough to be safe, but still steal the low pitch? Yeah,
I didn't know that he had been, working on certain positions. I think it'd been a couple of years here since he's been in St. Louis working on that. So I didn't even know that they had talked to him about that at any point in the spring. So when that came out, and we were talking about it, that's obviously our first reaction is, all right, you're definitely going to gain something by moving up, but probably like everything else, there's a point where you stop gaining and, at least marginally, and then, how much is it worth it? But I can't speak as a catcher. Both of you guys can. Like, are you able to really feel exactly where you're at? I mean, if Wilson's back, 4 or 5 inches, that probably makes a difference there. It also was, a curveball where he's trying to go get it. It was a super late swing because I think JD was trying to adjust to the pitch itself. So probably a perfect storm in that instance. But I will say, I feel like this year, not just, our catchers, but our hitters, we've seen more catchers interferences in 36 games or whatever than I feel like I normally see in a whole season. So I don't know if it's a league-wide effort to move up. But, man, I feel like I've seen way more of the barrels catching the glove, behind the zone.
Oh, for sure. And listen, and can you feel it? 100%. There were times where I'm like, damn, I'm way too close. I got to back up here. Because I'm like, I don't want to get hit. Like, I don't want to get hit by a bat, right? I get hit by enough balls and I get hit by enough foul tips and all that stuff. So it's like, all right, let me back up. And we talked about this yesterday or when Wilson went down. Like, the key was like if I could take my glove and I could touch their back leg, then that was about where I needed to be, right? Because you all, like, especially a curveball, you try to go get it and bring it up. Well, you have to have room for the batter because the batter goes forward too to clear. So it's a fine line, and I know that's why catcher's interference are up. But yes, could I feel when I was too close? Oh yeah, there were times where I'm like, man, I better keep my glove back or I'm going to get whacked and cost my guy a base out there. So I mean, personally, yes. Was he too close? Obviously. Does it suck? Even more, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think it was also one of those times too, the very end of the bat hit his forearm right on the right spot, right? It wasn't like the barrel of it, spreading that impact out either. It was a very small part of the bat, full speed, hitting that part of his forearm. So, yeah, and like you just said on the curveball and just that JD swing in those instances, he does a really good job of letting the ball travel and trying to fight off pitches late. Just kind of a perfect storm there. But hopefully procedure goes well, and he can heal up well, and then we just keep grinding out things here, and make sure that we're in a position that when he comes back, whether it's around All-Star break or whatever, it's basically like getting a silver slugger catcher back through a trade, and he's back on the team, and we've kept everything afloat and we're ready to go.
Perfect transition. You guys are playing Milwaukee, one of the top teams in the division right now. Is this a make or break series for a team as far below 500 as you guys are?
So, a couple of us were talking about this not too long ago. Is you try to never make too much or too little about any series, any game, right? You got to have urgency, but panic is never good. Here we are, almost to the 40-game mark, almost a quarter of the way through. There definitely is a time where you have to sit here and say, we're at the end here. We have to get this going, or ... right? I don't think we're there yet. I think we're in the time where we absolutely need to get things going in the right direction, because we have the ability to go on runs when we do get it in the right direction. We've played so few games against our division that I think, we're coming into a time where if we start playing well, I think it can make a big difference. So, if anything, coming into Milwaukee here, wherever they're at with the Cubs and them, I know it sounds crazy, but I really don't look at that a whole lot. I think you want to just see shifts in how things are going. You want to see changes in how, we do a shutdown inning, how we're better early in the game, right? Like I've had trouble in the first inning giving up runs. So am I able to make that shift and put up a couple zeros to start the game versus giving up one run? But all of these series in division are important, especially when you're chasing the team. So, but like I said, we're 38 games in. If we win a bunch of series the rest of the year, I think we'll be just fine. So we have to keep that in perspective as well.
Okay, Kratz, this is you, man. This is the grand
all right. I'll transition it.
I can't tee him up on your segment.
So we have a thing at the end of every show. I wear a hat, a different hat from all the 32,000 different teams that I played on. Minor leagues, big leagues, teams are sending me hats. You got a pretty sick hat on. Can you explain it to us and what it means to you and your family?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Adam Wainwright, back in 2013, started this charity, Big League Impact. And through his charity work with fantasy football, gave Elizabeth and I to host charity events and fantasy football leagues starting in Minnesota. And then we've just kind of carried it on. Adam asked me to come on board as vice president, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. So I've been on board with the charity now for quite a while. And it's really just a charity trying to give Major League Baseball players a chance to raise money for charities that they're passionate about. We do fantasy football leagues, Topgolf. We have our Swinging for Impact Topgolf event right there coming up May 19th in St. Louis. Baltimore's hosting one of those. There's going to be a Big League Impact event down in Tampa. I know Texas does things. There's a lot of different ways that fans can partner with some of their favorite players on charity work. And one thing that we're doing tomorrow that has been kicked off is called Mission 318. In every big league city, our staff with Big League Impact has connected with a charity partner to give road teams and home teams a chance to go do community service and get them out of the hotel and go do something in that community. So tomorrow we're going to go to Kinship Community Food Center and help them with some of their farming, whether that's building a couple hills to plant some squash or harvesting some vegetables, whatever it might be. In every big league city, there's an opportunity for big league players and their staff to go and serve and help that community. So it's a really cool opportunity, and I've been so honored to be a part of Big League Impact and the work that Adam and our staff has done now over the last 10 years.
All right. So was it just destined for you to be a Cardinal? Because you went to Missouri, and then did you get elected to the board before or after you signed with the Cardinals? Was that like a stipulation by Waino?
No, well before. So I'm sure Waino pretty well. He got to a point in 2016, 2017 where he said, hey, this is just known as my charity, and that's not what I want it to be. I want this to spread out across the league, and I think we can help a lot of other players raise money for their charity. So my wife and I and our family have lived in St. Louis now near her family for coming up on 7 years. So the opportunity to play with the Cardinals has been something that I really was looking forward to, and to be closer to home. So I think that's more of a coincidence there than a set in stone type thing.
All right, then who's a bigger star in Indiana, you or Lance?
Lance for sure. There's no debate on that. Lance Lynn, he likes to let people know here a little bit. If you know his personality, he's been the same guy since he's been 12 on that Little League baseball team. So he's been if growing up, in high school and travel ball. If you played baseball, you knew who Lance Lynn was. So he definitely, and that team had Lance, Drew Storn, and then Tucker Barnhart was right behind him. So that Brownsburg High School was a factory there for a little bit.
Okay. All right. So you're second fiddle. I get it. That's fine. As a first rounder, it's tough to be second fiddle. You held this charity at Topgolf here in Philly last year too, correct? If I'm not right. Okay.
2 years ago in Philly, last year in Baltimore. Yep.
2 years. That's right. 2 years. You were in Baltimore last year. What's your favorite Topgolf game to play? If fans who are listening have ever been to Topgolf, you can play the same game that Kyle Gibson plays.
Oh man, favorite game normally because I'm hosting. I'm bouncing around from bay to bay. I'm not actually even playing a full game, so I guess that's part of being the host, is that you got to go shake some hands and say hello to everybody. But being a golfer, I like being able to shoot to different targets and not just grab a club and go see how far you can hit it. So I don't necessarily know the name of the game, but I like the one where you progressively go from target to target, accumulating points and getting different clubs in your hands and actually attacking pins instead of just, letting it rip.
Are you the guy that brings your own clubs to Topgolf? Because I could see you. Showing up with the bag on your shoulder, your glove on. You put your Oakleys on, or your whatever your sunglasses are. And you show up at the flat bill, and you walk out there with your white belt, and you put your tour bag down. It says Kyle Gibson, look at me, and then you get your own clubs, start doing the practice swings.
You have described a totally different player than myself. I know. Don't let the flat bill hat fool you. I don't have a white belt even. All right, so there's a lot of things about that description that wasn't quite on. But no, just give me the stock Topgolf club. I'm going to spray them side to side anyways. When I get out on the course, I just aim down the middle knowing it's going to go one way or the other. So it's all good.
Yeah, he hits to all fields. That's good terminology.
Like his fastball.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah, just right and left. That's it.
Right. No middle. Thanks for doing this, and thanks for doing what you do. Obviously, wanted to give the charity some time, and I know you got the bus to hit, so thanks for joining us early here on FT. Good to see you again.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
You too. Kyle Gibson from the St. Louis Cardinals. Big series this weekend between the Cardinals and the Brewers. It starts tonight. We'll talk more about it a little bit later, but let's backtrack and recharge the mound. Got another veteran starter to talk about. His name is Chris Sale, and he's back. I mean, he's always good when he's starting, when he's healthy. 6 shutout innings, 6 hits, 1 walk, 10 punch-outs, 103 pitches. Who is he facing? Who is that team?
It's always a little more juice. A little more juice when you face an old team.
Red Sox?
Especially the team that traded you away basically for nothing. They got Von Grisham. I don't mean it like that.
Yeah.
But they even came out and said, yeah, this was kind of a salary move.
No.
I mean, they did. They did, Kratzy. And, for a guy like Sale, that hurts right here. Like, that's man. And we had Chris on, and he was great about it. And he said, yeah, we won a World Series when I was there, but I did not live up to the expectations. And listen, when he's healthy, you see what he can do.
His slider.
His slider's so nasty.
He's using it more than ever. I think
he's only allowed 25, though. Remember I told the story? 25 per game.
Yeah. I think they got rid of that. Do you know what his slider percentage is up to? Yes.
It's got to be like 40%.
I was listening to Hammer Territory this morning. 44%.
Because nobody
sliders. Can hit it. Yeah, it's like you don't need to save bullets anymore.
No.
Deep into the career, do whatever.
No.
Maybe that was the key to keeping him healthy for the Red Sox. More sliders, which is actually their big thing this year. There was like a joke, I think, yesterday or this morning where Craig Breslow was like, I don't hate four-seamers. We're like, I don't know. The Red Sox of the past,
You know what the Red Sox hate?
Fastballs in general, yeah. But Chris Sale's, doing his thing. And he said on Facing the Sox, facing your friends and your old team's excited, so I'm glad I didn't suck. And he almost kind of, I think, apologized from when I was reading FT Leadoff, the newsletter this morning, saying, like, my bad, Red Sox fans. I know you were probably kind of pissed at me because I wasn't on the mound as much as I should have been the past few years, and now I just kicked your ass in that game last night. They could not touch him.
I couldn't have picked a better bet. There was I completely agree with what AJ said. Like, I don't think he's a vengeful person. I'm not saying this, but like anybody who sits there and goes, yeah, he probably won't get up for this game. Like, there's a little extra. There's a little extra in there, and you don't need to give Chris Sale extra. You want to take away from Chris Sale if you're the opponent. You want to be like, man, Chris Sale is the best. He is really good. Let's calm him down as much as we can. If I knew Chris Sale was cutting jerseys up that one day, I would definitely have taken the over on K's the next day, but I was playing, so I couldn't have.
Well, he looks great, and so does the Braves defense. The Braves have been playing a lot of close games lately, so this was a little bit more of a cruise control win for them over the Boston Red Sox. Braves also made a teeny tiny trade. They sent away Luis Guillorme to the Angels for a player to be named later or for cash. Guillorme, nice veteran infield depth.
Yeah, but he was kind of insurance policy for them anyways. Yeah. And then remember, he got to play a bunch when Acuna was down, or not Acuna, Albies was down. Yep. So now that Albies is back, they're kind of like, okay, and somebody wants to give us something for Guillorme. It's a chance for him to go to Anaheim and play. I mean, this is one of those trades that works out. This is a cool thing for the Braves to do, to get Guillorme to a place probably he can play. And then, for the Angels, they get a player that they can use. So it seems like a win-win, at least right now.
And also, they then picked up Zach Short. That just happened within the last 30 minutes, I'm seeing, from the Red Sox.
That must have been happening. You can't have one without the other. You can't lose infield depth. You don't have your Charlie Culberson there anymore. You don't have a Vaughn Grissom in the minor leagues, whether or not they felt like he was a defensive replacement, that has tons of offense. Whatever their decision is, you do have to make sure you still have depth. And I don't know what all is in the minor leagues there for the Braves, but knowing Alex Anthopoulos, I'm sure this is a pro move that, hey, you know what? You don't have a shot here. Team wanted you. Or a shot at a lot of playing time. A team wanted you that can use you. Good luck.
Zach Short is at bat off the bench against a reliever that might not have the best command and control, and he'll never chase. He's like he has one of those crazy low chase percentage situations. So you're just kind of switching what you're getting off the bench between
Nicky Lopez pickup
Luke Williams. Right. So they're just making a little swap there. But good for the Braves. And then one more here. The Orioles lose a pair of 2-run leads, but end up taking down the Nationals in what's been a fun series between the O's and the Nats. But the storyline sweeping Baltimore right now is Craig Kimbrel. I think many people saw this coming in the offseason. Orioles fans were spoiled as hell last year. They had Felix Bautista dominating. And Craig Kimbrel is a roller coaster ride, and he's just getting up there in years. The thing that pisses people off is they just want him to go to lower leverage situations until he gets hot again, or maybe permanently. And Brandon Hyatt, O's manager, said, we're going to stick with him. This guy's got a big-time track record. He's a Hall of Famer. We need to get him right. He's big for us. It's important that we get him right. Andy Koska, who's been on this show, who covers the Orioles, says Kimbrel has failed to complete the 9th inning in 4 of his last 5 appearances, and 3 of those have resulted in blown saves. AJ, if you're a manager, what do you do?
This is really tough. This is why managers get paid big money. I personally, if I had the power to be the Orioles manager or the GM, I'd sit Craig down and say, hey, you got a back problem. We've already documented. Let's take 10 days off, 15 days off, and get you back right. Because we've seen this with Craig Kimbrel a bunch of times the last few years, where like when he loses it, he loses it. Like not like, okay, we can get by. Like he just loses it. And then he comes back 2 weeks later and is like, oh, wait, this is the really good guy that's possible Hall of Famer, Craig Kimbrel. But let me say this now, and I'm going to beat everyone to it. We had Mason Miller on last week. You know who would look amazing in a Baltimore Orioles uniform? And they have the prospects to get him. And he throws multiple innings. And he throws 117. And he's from Pennsylvania, which is kind of close to Baltimore. I don't know.
Listen, Craig will be okay. You can't just stick with him, unashamedly or unapologetically just because he's a future Hall of Famer. But if you look at what he did the last 2 years, 60-plus innings, 28 walks, over a strikeout and a third an inning. It even got a little bit higher last year. He's going to go through his stretches like a streaky hitter. I don't know that you need an IL stint, but all that discussion has already been built up with the relationship that Brandon Hyde created in the last 2 months since he's been an Oriole in spring training and in the regular season. And you have that discussion. You tell him, hey, we might move you into a little bit different situation while you work this out. I know you don't get the adrenaline, but you're still our guy. You still need to be the guy, and he'll get through it.
I'd be worried playoff time. They're going to do something at the deadline. They're going to get a closer.
They have to anyway.
No, they signed Craig Kimbrel. That was their big money signing in the offseason to shut it down in the playoffs.
Nope.
Okay.
Disagree.
To be continued. Be right back.
Unified Healing is sponsoring this episode of Foul Territory. Unified Healing is an innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System, or EE System. This technology promotes wellness and deep relaxation, and there are hundreds of locations across the globe. Interested in experiencing the EE System technology for yourself? Go to unifydhealing.com/foul to learn more and find a center near you. That's UNIFYD healing.com/FOUL. No material or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including EE System.
Dallas Morning News beat writer, covers the Rangers. Evan Grant also leading the world in FT appearances, back on the show to talk Rangers. And Evan, good to see you. And right off the jump here, I'll get to you because Kratz was pretty offensive just now. Or was it AJ? AJ actually. He said that the Orioles are probably going to get Mason Miller at the trade deadline. Rangers fans are like, excuse me, that's our target at the trade deadline, and that's 20 other teams' target at the trade deadline. And I don't think the A's are going to trade him, but it's cute to talk about it.
Yeah, it is cute to talk about it. And in that doubleheader yesterday, he went 2 innings and struck out 4 and was blowing gas by everybody. He's certainly attractive. And I think that before it's all said and done, as we know, guys, right, at the deadline, everybody's looking for a big arm. Everybody's looking to add a big arm. I don't think the Rangers are going to be out of that market, despite the fact that Kirby Yates and David Robertson have been really, really good at the back end of the bullpen. Josh Sborz left yesterday's game with what appeared to be a shoulder injury. You want a guy who can throw what do we consider above average for a closer now? 98? You want a guy who can throw 98 miles an hour at the end of a game.
Let me ask you about the rest of the pitching because more injuries and setbacks have popped up this week. Can you get us caught up on the injuries infirmary or the Rangers infirmary?
I just was writing down the list of guys on the IL and who's available, but the starters that are down are now Dane Dunning, who's got a little bit of a shoulder issue, Nathan Eovaldi, who's got a strained groin, and Cody Bradford, who has a stress fracture in his 12th rib. Obviously, the other 3 guys are Max Scherzer, still working his way back from back surgery. He's recently developed a little bit of irritation in his thumb that's kind of bled into the forearm. And that's a little bit concerning because that was the same situation that arose last year that led to his teres major injury. You can make of that what you will. I'm sure Max would not dispute it if you asked if the lack of stickiness on the baseball had some impact on that. Tyler Mahle and Jacob deGrom are still both after the All-Star break before they're on the horizon. And the bottom line is they're basically out of pitching. They've got John Gray, Andrew Heaney, Michael Lorenzen, Jack Leiter made his second start yesterday. They don't have a 5th starter right now, and they're going to need one. It's either going to be Jose Urena or Owen White, who I don't think retired a batter yesterday in a relief appearance. They are out of pitching. This was the situation that they feared going into the season. And it has hit them here less than 6 weeks in.
Should they have signed Montgomery? Just asking for a Ranger fan that I know.
Well, so here's the deal.
I love that.
Listen, I think they should have signed Jordan Montgomery. I think it should have been prior to the end of spring training. I did think that once spring training kind of started and he was going to have to appear in games without much of a training camp, it might be a slow start for him. On the other hand, they signed Michael Lorenzen with a week left to go in camp, and he's been perfectly fine. So I don't know exactly how I feel about it. They needed another body. I think they needed to get more depth options. I'm not so much talking about big-time free agents. They needed more depth options than what they ended up with.
Okay, so I have to ask, because when I did the game a couple weeks ago, some people get to take Saturdays off. Some of us have to grind through it. Did you also get to take – you also got to take the doubleheader off yesterday in Oakland. So do you ever go to games, and have you seen more runs scored in a doubleheader than yesterday?
Well, I did watch all of yesterday while I was at home, but yeah, I've cut down on road games just a little bit. This was a 10-day trip, and I figured I'm going to get the full Oakland experience on the very last road trip of the year. I believe the Rangers are the last team to play the A's in Oakland, so that should be fun. And I will be in Colorado this weekend, so I'm bookending the road trip, which wasn't great planning on my part because I'm leaving my wife here on Mother's Day, and I feel incredibly guilty about that.
Oh, that is we talk about injury purgatory. You just dropped a bombshell on us.
Yeah, it's a bad rookie mistake.
Rookie mistake. All right, well.
Wait. She's not your mother, though. That's what I don't understand. She's not. She's a mother to your children.
AJ,
but she's not your. I'm just saying. You get a little more leeway. I feel like
there's no digging out of this. I screwed it up. I did take her out for dinner the other night, and we will try and make it up. But yeah,
does McDonald's count?
Come on, AJ. If there's anything that I do well, it's food.
Okay, Raising Cane's. You went to Cane's. I get it.
We went to Cafe R&D Kitchen, her favorite.
Yeah, okay.
Don't drag AJ down with you, Evan, okay? He is an innocent bystander in this. Don't be dropping bombs and getting the rest of us killed. Okay?
I know. All
right,
we'll make it up. We'll make it up.
Yep. You said rookie mistake. We have a very, very much excited, anticipated rookie debut in Pittsburgh for the number 1 pick. How do you compare what's been happening with Paul Skenes and the buildup and everything to Jack Leiter, who's now thrown for the Rangers in the big leagues? It hasn't gone that well. It was a tougher road. How do Rangers fans and how do you see it as comparison or not fair to compare? Where do you see it on that spectrum?
Well, I think the difference here is right that the couple of starts Skenes made in the minor leagues, he's been absolutely dominant. And when Jack went to the minor leagues, he didn't pitch in 21 after he was drafted. In 22, he kind of got off to a slow start, and it just never built. There was never any real momentum built. So I think the Skenes situation, if I was making any kind of comparison, it would almost be more towards Wyatt Langford, the number 4 pick in last year's draft, who went to spring training this year, absolutely dominated and won himself a spot on the opening day roster. Obviously not a pitcher, but my point here is despite the fact that Wyatt absolutely dominated in spring training and looked like he couldn't miss, he did get out to a little bit of a rough start. He struggled with power, and it is still an adjustment. And these guys that move from the draft to the big leagues with very short time in the minor leagues, I think they've got all the tools. I think the question I always have is, are they finished off enough? Have they had the ability to fail at the minor leagues for a little bit and dig themselves out of it? And that is what you are going to face in the big league. You guys know that.
Agreed. I've said that forever. I'd like to see a guy fail before you call him up. At least have like an 0 for 10, 0 for 12, because most of these guys have never done that in their life. Right? Wyatt Langford, yeah, I know his freshman year at Florida didn't go so well. He only got a couple of bats. But then they pop him right in the lineup, and he's like, oh, first-team All-American, first-team All-SEC. This guy's going to be 1-1. Then he goes out his junior year, and he rakes. He's the 4th pick and plays a month in the minor leagues, and then, bam, he's in the big leagues. I couldn't agree with you more, Evan. What have you seen out of one, Marcus Semien, who has 3 hits in 3 straight games? He's absolutely on fire. And 2, is Corey Seager officially back now after his, we can't call it a hernia, we're going to call it a core muscle injury?
Well, we went with sports hernia. I think we went with sports hernia on Corey Seager. He's hit some balls hard. The home run the other night was a big moment for him. And I think that, listen, for a guy who puts in the amount of work that Corey does into his swing, I am sure that there are some times when he just gets really down on himself when things aren't going well. And in that first month of the season, things did not go well for him. I do think that the at-bat on Monday night was a really important at-bat for him to have some success, hit a big home run, change the game. It's a big moment for him. But let's go into Marcus Semien for a minute, because I do think that, and I was hoping you guys would want to touch on Marcus, because there's so much appreciation that I have for what this guy does day in and day out. He plays every day, does not take a day off. He leads the big leagues in defensive runs saved at second base. And offensively, the question for Marcus is, how slow of an April does he get off to? Because it seems like the 1st of May every year, he absolutely ignites. And he got off to a decent start in April, had a little bit of a slump towards the end of the month. But once again, this guy absolutely turns it on when May comes around. He's just it's hard to really value a guy who you can write into the lineup every day, top of the lineup, who's going to produce offensively, who's elite defensively, and who just does the work. I think he's had such an impact on so many young guys on that team by the way he goes about his work that I do want to just spend a day on the Marcus Semien appreciation post.
All right. Well, you mentioned Marcus Semien appreciation. Is Jonah Heim the most undervalued, underrated player on the Rangers at the moment? Because we had him on the other day, and he wouldn't even talk about himself. So is he the most underrated player going?
He doesn't like to talk about himself. And I know that every time I ask him about himself, he gives me a very disgusted look. But listen, he's a great framer. He's got big time power. He's a switch hitting catcher. He was an all-star last year. It's hard for me to say a guy's an underrated player when he was a starting all-star catcher. I think on this team, it's a very deep team. There are some stars. There are those young players with really high ceilings. And maybe in the overall scheme of things, do we overlook Jonah Heim a little bit? Perhaps. But what he does on a daily basis, I think he's proven it within the league. He is not the best catcher in the American League. He's certainly in the conversation.
All right, so the Astros done. Are the Astros done? Is the dynasty over? Did the Rangers break the Astros last year when they beat them in the Game 7 to go to the World Series?
I don't know if the Rangers did them in, but it's hard for me to see them digging back out from falling 10 games under 500. I don't want to write them off because of the amount of experience they have, but they're off to a really bad start. And the 7 games we saw the Rangers play against them, and I think you saw a couple of those in person, Houston didn't do anything that really impressed me. Altuve's gotten off to a great start, and Alvarez is always a very dangerous man, but it just doesn't feel like they have the complete team that they once did.
How happy does that make you?
Doesn't I don't. I'm not a homer. You know that.
What?
Yeah.
What?
No, I ripped you constantly when you were here.
That's fine. I'm used to that. That means you're a homer. If you rip me, that means you're a homer.
That is not.
Listen, I do think that Seattle is going to be the biggest threat to the Rangers to win the American League West this year. The Mariners pitching is absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, I do think that the power, the balance of power in the American League West has changed.
Oof. Quote that.
Yeah, we're going to clip that. Evan Grant says the Astros are done, and he couldn't be happier about it.
No, he said the power has changed.
Yeah, shit.
Actually,
my Twitter is going to be fun the rest of the day. I appreciate that.
You live for Twitter. What are you
clip
talking
this.
about? You live
the
for
balance of power in the AL West has
shifted.
changed.
Yep, mic drop like Corey Seager at the World Series parade.
And
We'll never know.
We'll just press that red button on the.
You know what the worst part about, or it could be the best part. When I was in Texas a couple weeks ago, Hurtado Barbecue delivered this big spread. The Rangers brought this big spread in there, and you know who wasn't there to share it with me, Kratzy? Evan, because he took the day off, right? So it was like I had this. I mean, I put it on Twitter. There was. With a big rib that's like this big, right? The elotes, all the stuff, right? Pulled pork sandwiches, meatball, garlic knots they brought up. I mean, it was like the Rangers were incredible. Hurtado Barbecue was incredible. And I text Evan, I'm like, I guess you're not showing up. And he's like, oh, I'm a veteran. I take Saturday day games off. So.
Yeah, I may have said that. All right, I put my foot in my mouth. I would have loved to have showed up, not to see you, but just to have some of that food. They did you right, it seems like. I will say this, Hurtado is changing up their menu, so the next time you come in, there will be something different on the menu for you. There will be some, I believe, birria, brisket, quesadillas.
I'll be there next Saturday, so you'll be off.
I'll be at the All-Star game.
It's going to be hot, man. We met with some MLB people this week about the All-Star game, and they've got big plans for all the Ballpark Village, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But, whoo, doggy, when it's outside, stuff is going to be really hot.
Evan, don't let AJ.
We're in Orlando. We could take it.
I love AJ give you a hard time about not working every day. Okay, don't let. He stopped working. He stopped working every day when he stopped playing.
It was that late?
No, he played. He played.
So don't even give me that.
There is one thing that cannot be argued, and I will not let anybody run AJ's name through the mud about not playing. AJ played. When he was allowed, he played. He showed up. Everything else was really below average, but everything that was elite.
When he was allowed, he said.
The best ability is availability.
That is true.
Yep.
I'm a big believer in that.
All right.
So is Semyon.
So wait, I mean, we have all kinds of time with you, Evan, because Scott's not paying attention. This is great.
I'm totally paying attention.
Scott's out. Best ballpark food. You can't say Globe Life because you're not a homer, but best ballpark. Okay, media dining. Let's just go media dining because certain places.
Nobody needs to be bored with media dining crap.
No, because some of them are good and some of them aren't so good. Like
I don't want to know about that.
No, because the Astros.
I will say this.
I care because when I go to these places, I care. The Astros have the nacho bar and ice cream bar. Boom, jackpot.
The Astros do good.
Yeah, exactly.
But AJ, everybody's bringing you food from the concessions. They bring you these platters.
True. All right. So then the best ballpark food I haven't had yet.
I had a really good chicken sandwich in Atlanta 2 weeks ago at a place. I think it was called the Coop. It was kind of a hot chicken sandwich.
Okay, I've had that before. It's good.
Trying to
do
think
everything good. Dang it!
There's a Shake Shack at Minute Maid Park, which
but I've had Shake Shack. It's a chain. I don't know if you know that it's a chain.
The place that we're not going this year that I really would like to dive into, and I get really, really angry because some of my friends in the New York media post pictures. But I think Citi Field's got some really good stuff on the menu.
Yeah,
if you want to follow Laura Albanese, she posts all her favorites. She tries everything at all the parks.
I know. I love her for it. I love her. Yep. And I'm interested. We're going to Philly in 2 weeks, so I'm interested in seeing what's in the ballpark in Philly. I haven't eaten there in a couple of years.
Oh, Chicky and Pete's, baby, Krabby Fries. Come on, cheese dip. I mean, you can't eat.
That's a chain. I mean, they're good, but that's a chain.
Isn't that in Camden Yards too? Well, there's got to be a cheesesteak place in Philly that's decent.
At the park?
Eric?
At the park, you're saying, or in Philly?
At the park, yeah.
At the park.
I mean, they got Tony Luke's is in the stadium. I mean, I gotta support my ex-players though. I mean, Bulls Barbecue. I know you don't necessarily go to the East to take barbecue in, but Greg Luzinski rocks some nice barbecue at Bulls Barbecue there in the alley.
All right, I got to have some Luzinski barbecue.
Yep.
Boom.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Make it happen. Mm-hmm. Evan, you're the man. Great to talk to you.
Evan, you can buy me lunch on the 18th of May here.
The 18th of May?
9 days.
Yeah, 18th of May.
I'll put it on my calendar.
You won't be there Saturday, so
I'll buy you barbecue.
There you go.
All right. Is there anything else now in Globe Life? This is your last chance, Globe Life, that I need to have while I'm there.
There's a Whataburger open in Globe Life Field now.
I love Whataburger. The patty melt is.
You're not getting the patty melt there. You can get the basic hamburgers there, but it's it's Whataburger. It's consistent.
Mm-hmm.
True.
I will figure something out for when you're here, and we'll take care of you.
Okay.
Why I have to take care of you, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Weird. We all don't understand that, but we're just here for it.
I'm just trying to be America's guest. What do you want me to say?
You are. You have taken on the title of America's guest. That was the title that I was going to bestow upon you.
AJ's just like he's the 35-year-old that still lives in your basement, Evan, when it comes to food. Time to kick him out. Let him grow his wings.
Also the scam of, oh hey, I'm gonna tour each ballpark and like show off their food. And everybody just comes to the booth now and brings me
everything
amazing fare,
dude. Okay, so
worth
the
hundreds of dollars.
Astros brought this thing. I don't even know what it was called. It was a hot dog. It was 2 hot dogs sliced in half, and it was on like a hamburger bun. And it had mustard and all. It was so good, like the grilled hot dog at a ballpark, but it was cut in half, so it was grilled on each side. And they put, oh man, I don't know what it was called, but it was.
One day MLB is going to send AJ a bill. Like 5 years from now, and be like, $55,000 for all of the food that you've ordered at the ballparks.
Fox.
You know what I got to try, and I got to write about this. I'm going to do this so that nobody else has to. I'm going to try the MLB Ballpark Bites website thing. Have you guys seen this?
Oh, I tried the trio, the Texas trio in Texas too. They sent me that too. That was good.
Was that the lobster roll, the boomstick, and the burger?
No, it was a burger, hot dog, nachos.
Nice.
What time is it? I'm getting hungry.
It was like this big. It was like the boomstick thing. We did the boomstick this year or last year, I think.
Yeah, all of our fans just left and went to lunch because we're crushing them. But anyway, yes, please do that. They also used to do like a little fair in New York City where they would try out all the food. I went once or twice. It's not a good setup for me since I'm allergic to half the shit that they had there. But anyway, Evan, you go.
I don't know about the Ballpark Bites thing. It's basically like DoorDash for ballpark food that you can order to your house. And I went on the website the other day and I priced out what it would cost to order a hot dog to the house. And it would take 40 minutes and it would come for $16.99. I just don't understand why anybody would do that.
Hey,
maybe they're really hungry.
Do you want a hot dog that? A warm hot dog for $20. You got to tip. You got to tip.
It's gonna be hot.
Got to tip your delivery people too. So
and
$20 hot dog at home. At home.
Correct.
Well, yes. Let us know how that goes. Just at least to document it, the experience. I think that would get a lot of attention.
I will do that. I will do that.
Thank you, Evan. Good to talk to you as always. We appreciate you, man.
Take care. We'll see, AJ. We'll see you in a week or so.
Yes, you will. Good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise.
Peace. There you go. Evan Grant, Dallas Morning News. Of course, please give him a follow at Evan_Pete_Grant. Read his articles online, or if you get newspapers at the Dallas Morning News, and we'll post some of these clips. Got a good little food chat in there. Unexpected. All right. So
ballpark food, though, not just regular food. Ballpark food.
Yeah, ballpark food.
Very underrated part of the game.
True. Need to warm it up now with hot corner.
Need to warm up that hot dog, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That warm hot dog, that warm $20 hot dog.
Nope.
It's on the move. No, that sounds rough. So the Yankees have won 5 games in a row. The Astros are actually getting dominated by the Yankees lately. They got swept in that first series of the season, remember? And that was the 0-4 start that really began the tailspin for Houston. They have not been able to pick it up since then. Carlos Rodon keeps quietly performing for New York. You had the Bash brothers homering. Stanton murdered a baseball. Judge heating up. Soto going oppo. Like, what was that? 440 to left center. You don't see that often, what he did.
That was like one of the one things that guys were like, I don't know if he can win the MVP. Might not hit enough home runs. It's really far to left center. And I even said that, like, lefties don't necessarily take advantage of the home runs down the line. It's the righties that miss hit balls and hit it to right field. But that ball he hit yesterday, I mean, unfortunately for him, he hit the same day that Stanton hit his, the day after Stanton broke the record for the hardest home run. So I think I already know who my Grand Slam pick for this weekend is going to be, my BetMGM Grand Slam pick for my 50,000 bonus bets. I mean, I can't not pick Stanton at some point this weekend.
Fair. Also, Aaron Judge, last 5 games. This is Max Goodman who covers him. 500, 591 on base, 1,056 slug, 6 homers, 4 doubles. Or no, sorry, 2 homers, 4 doubles, 6 RBIs, 4 walks. OPS now up to 844. Starting to feel better, get back to normal.
Did that coincide with getting thrown out of the game? Because a lot of the league, if it did coincide with it, a lot of the league is going to be pissed off at Ryan Blakely. Like, you woke up a giant. Like, we were all just sitting quietly and you had to poke the bear. I wonder if I thought he got thrown out 4 games ago, but I'm not 100% certain on that.
Yeah, I don't know what day it was. It was one of those days.
Saturday.
Okay, well, I don't care.
That ball was.
All right, so the Yankees are good. We know that. They're going to most likely be a playoff team. They're contending here. They look like, the second best team in the AL East. I mean, we talked a lot about the Astros because it's weird. I mean, it's been one of the most dominant teams in baseball for a while. I've said I'm not too concerned. I think it's a decent team on paper, but at some point, they're going to have to go on a run. There's plenty of time left. We're only a quarter into the season. There's some time left.
As Yogi Berra once said, it's getting late and early.
Yeah.
It's getting late early, big fella.
Can they climb back to the 500 mark by August? Because if you're 500
they're
in
12
August,
games under right now. They're 12 and 24, by the way.
It's a lot.
Oh, it's 12 now.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, at some point, you dig enough of a hole, right? Because they were 10 games under 500 quick. And then you got to play catch up. They're playing almost 500 balls since then, but it doesn't matter. At some point, you got to go on a run. There might be that, spot in the schedule where there's a heavy dosage of White Sox or something like that, where they can, get their own magic sausage and go on a little heater. But is that going to happen? Oh, look at this. For Astros fans, which stage of grief are you in? This is from Longhorn Dave. Dave selected depression right now, which is almost the last step.
There's no here's the thing you keep looking for. You say, all right, well, is there an easy spot in their schedule, right? Well,
is there?
I mean, eventually they're going to have to play somebody. But the problem for me is their pitching has been so god-awful. Their ERA is over a 5 as a team, and that was the one thing they were known for, was that great starting pitching and a great bullpen. And you see it right here. They have over a 5 ERA as a team. They're worse than Kratz's White Sox. So I just don't that's going to have to turn around quickly. Christian Javier is still down. He's supposed to come back. He didn't. Verlander got freaking whacked. Their best starter has been Ronel Blanco.
Yeah.
By far. And, he's going to I think, tonight.
He is.
So,
he's going tonight.
He's their hope. But, gosh, even games they're supposed to win when they have Abreu's struggled, right? Presley hasn't been the same. Hader definitely hasn't been the same. Who's going to turn it around? Let's start with the pitching.
It does.
Because Tucker's been pretty good. Altuve's been great. Alvarez has been all right. Bregman's been awful. Diaz has been okay. Their lineup's been okay. It's just been their pitching has been just not good.
The question is, are we talking about them being a 500 team, or are we talking about them being a playoff team? And I know you say, well, if they're a 500 team, they'll have a chance to get back. The Padres were a 500 team last year. And we wrote them off a long time into the season. When we thought they had everything. They had Yu Darvish pitching. They had Joe Musgrove. They had Josh Hader and Suarez in the back of the bullpen. With other guys back there, now we're almost kind of looking at the same thing with the Astros. The Astros have the lineup. Bregman will not hit like he's been hitting. Alvarez, he will hit. He will lead this team. He's that kind of guy. Altuve can be hot and cold, but he's going to put up the numbers. The biggest thing I don't see is why Bregman this year is doing what he's doing. He started off a little slow last year, and then he kind of piled it on, and his numbers were a little below where he normally is, but I've never been in that spot.
Schedule after Yanks, one more. Tigers this weekend, 4 against the A's next week at home, which for Houston doesn't mean as much because that's been a problem for them the last couple of years.
They're actually raking at home this year.
Okay.
Who's that? The Astros?
Houston. Remember, they were bad
banging
at home last year.
Their numbers at home are crazy good.
Okay.
Hitting. Offensively, no. Pitching-wise, the problem is the pitching has matched the hitting.
Yep. So
they do not like facing lefties.
3 next weekend against the Brewers, still at home. They have a long homestand coming up. And then 3 against the Angels. Then 3 more against the A's. So there is a stretch here where
the A's are not bad.
I know that, but they're not facing, the Yankees, the Mariners, I guess the Guardians are playing well right now. Before that it's like before that, they took the Rockies down in those 2 games in Mexico, but before that, Cubs. So, I don't know. I'm just saying, it's not like you're looking at the schedule. Sometimes you go, oh man, this team's going through it, and then you look up and you're like, Braves, Dodgers, Orioles, they're fucked. Like, there's a window.
But 12 games, that sounds so much more than 10. Like that is a lot of games, and you start to look at a team like the Tigers, and you go, okay, we're facing the Tigers. I wonder if Skubal's pitching. Maybe we can duck Skubal because he's kind of nasty. Now all of a sudden you're like, crap. Okay, well we can try to win 2 out of 3. They're in 3 out of 4 range right now. Like not just splitting 4-game series. They're have to win series. Just like Gibby said. They talk about winning series.
Mm-hmm. Can't get swept, which might happen again to the Yanks. Let's move on. Let's bring in our FT senior insider, Ken Rosenthal, fresh off of Fair Territory, which you can check out after foul if you want to see what Ken and Alana covered today. Ken, good to see you. And we're going to double down here. I know you covered this at the top of your show, but we'll see if we can spin this a different way. Paul Skenes on Saturday. What do you think of the timing for him and how he'll be managed by the Pirates the rest of the season?
He'll be managed carefully. And we've seen what they've done with Jared Jones, and they're going to be just as careful with Skenes. And you can understand why. I don't believe he's ever thrown more than 122 innings in a season. And with that kind of pitcher, with any kind of pitcher, you've got to be really careful. And obviously the major leagues, the level of strain is far greater than it is in the minors or even in college. So I don't expect 9 innings Saturday. We're probably talking 4 or 5 at most. And hopefully they'll bring him along and have him progress in a normal fashion and do it in a way that keeps him healthy. Now, the key question is, how do you keep him healthy? And no one knows the answer to this kind of question. We've been asking it with every single pitcher every day of this season. There's no magic formula, and the Pirates know that. They're upfront about it. But what they're doing is treating this conservatively, and that's probably the proper way to go about it.
Ken, how excited should we be about Paul Skenes making his debut on Saturday? Is this a stop what you're doing at 4 o'clock, tune in and watch, or is this let's see how it goes?
This is a stop what you're doing and watch. And the reason I say that, AJ, is because of dominance he has shown at AAA. I don't recall a debut by a pitcher being this highly anticipated since Steven Strasburg way back when. So basically, we're talking about something that is really unusual and exciting. This is a guy who had 2 pitches at LSU. He now has 5. He is a student of the game. He seems to have the right makeup. The whole package seems to be there. And just the 100-mile-an-hour stuff and all the complimentary pitches that go with it, the splinker, this is legit excitement in my mind. And yeah, of course, we have to see how he does. And you never know how a prospect is going to progress. But as I said, this is the most highly anticipated pitching debut since Strasburg. It's the first number 1 pick overall to come to the majors this quickly since Ben McDonald in 1989. I was there for that one, and that was exciting. I was actually there for Strasburg too. This has the same kind of feel.
What is the fear for Pirates fans in bringing Skenes up right now? I don't think Pirate fans are naysayers. I think that's like Mets and Yankees fans. They're naysayers. But what is a fear with Skenes?
The fear, Eric, is the same fear we have for every pitcher, especially those who throw hard, and that he's going to blow out. Now, started his career at Air Force as a catcher and closer. So maybe the innings buildup on his arm is not what it is for others. Maybe that makes no difference at all. Maybe it does. I don't know. But that is always the fear, whether these guys stay healthy. And it seems that with every pitcher, there's an expiration date before they have some kind of physical issue. And that's the way the game is now. So for me, as a fan of the game, as someone who covers the game, what I want to see is Paul Skenes, like Jared Jones, like every other young pitcher, stay healthy for as long as possible and hopefully their entire careers, knowing that that's a lot to ask.
All right, let's get to the hitting prospect side of things. So in The Athletic today, you wrote about guys that are struggling, right? Some of our favorite Rookie of the Year picks, Wyatt Langford, Jackson Chourio, Colt Keith, and more. So why did you do this? And did you find any substantial evidence as to why not everyone is an instant success in the big leagues?
Scott, it's an interesting question why I did this. I was talking to Matt Carpenter a few weeks ago. We had a game, I believe it was at Citi Field, Cardinals, Mets, and he was there. He was injured. And he was talking about how difficult it is for young players. And what he mentioned at the time was the 6-game series that they now play in the minors. This was something that was introduced because of COVID to reduce travel. That's an advantage to the hitters.
And to save money.
It makes hitting at AAA easier, and therefore when guys come to the majors, it's not as easy. You're not facing guys twice in a series, at least as often. You're certainly not facing a starter twice in a series, as you would in a 6-game series a lot of times in the minors. So after that, I just kind of had it in my mind and started looking at some things, and I know there was talk about Manzardo being down for too long, Junior Caminero being down for too long, and I was thinking, okay, well, why are these things happening? Why are teams reluctant? And that's why I went about it the way I did. Now, the things I learned were that, yes, the 6-game series is one potential factor. Another potential factor is the advanced scouting in the major leagues is so much better than it is in the minors, even though the minors, they're equipped with TrackMan or Rapsodo and all that. And then the other thing is the roster restrictions that exist now with minor league teams. They have gone from 180 to 165 this year, and maybe some guys are getting pushed out, some AAA, 4A types who would have been more of a challenge for some young hitters had they still been there. Now, these are potential factors. They're not complete answers. The biggest answer, of course, is the pitching in the major leagues is so much better than it is in the minors. And then I woke up this morning and saw some of the comments in the article, and a lot of fans said, hey, whoa, what about the robo-umps? Why aren't you mentioning them? I thought that was interesting because that could be obviously a reason, right? The robo-umps are being used in AAA. First 3 games of a series is complete robo, and then the second 3 games, a challenge system is used. And yet, I just responded to one of the commenters saying that of the 7 people I talked to for this story, and actually there were probably more than that even, none of them mentioned that. Not one of the 3 heads of baseball operations I talked to, and nobody else mentioned the robo-ump issue. Is it possible that the strike zone's bigger in the majors than it is in the minors with the robo? Yes, that is possible. But again, that wasn't mentioned to me. Really the biggest thing, guys, and you know this, the gap between AAA and the majors has always been quite big as far as the quality of pitching. And now for a variety of reasons, some of which I mentioned, it might be even bigger.
Did any of those players of baseball operations or minor league baseball operation directors, whatever they're called, mention thinking about possibly keeping some of these hitting prospects at AA where they're going to see higher velocity, less command to make it more of a velocity thing, or was that not mentioned?
It was not mentioned, Eric. It's an interesting point because maybe the pitching in AA is better than it is at AAA. I'm not quite sure about that. But all of the players that we discussed, the ones that Scott named at the top, they all have different levels of AAA experience. Some barely played in AAA at all. Jackson Merrill did not play at AAA. Jackson Churio had very little exposure at AAA. So they're all kind of different in that regard. The overriding point of the story and the thing that people should take away from it, in my view, is that, yes, it is really hard to hit in the major leagues, even for the most talented young players in the game. And when teams hold them down, we all want to scream service time manipulation, right? We all do. But it's not always true. And to a degree, it's less than it was before, the manipulation. It still exists in some fashion. But in some of these cases, rosters being another factor, the Cleveland roster was simply not built in a way where Kyle Manzardo had an easy path to it. All of these things come into play, as well as what Eric Neander from the Rays described as the difficulty in judging a hitter's readiness because of this gap that exists.
That was going to be my question. Are we rushing these guys? Why are we in such a hurry to get these guys there at 19, 20 years old? Why are we rushing? It feels like everyone is like, we got to get him there. Oh, we got to get this guy. We got to get Jackson Churio there because he signed a deal. Well, then just wait 6 months and sign him 6 months later, right? Oh, we got to get Jackson Holliday there, right? And we kind of said it. He had a great spring. Why is he not on the team, right? We got to get this guy. We got to rush this guy. Yeah, and for every Bryce Harper, Juan Soto that works out at 19, 20 years old, there's stories of guys that have to go up and down because, honestly, they just weren't ready.
AJ, that's a great point. And one of the heads of baseball operations I spoke with said, off the record, that people don't realize how important reps are. Just getting at-bats in the minor leagues. You need a certain foundation. And it used to be, I don't recall the number, but I remember when I started, Doug Melvin was with the Orioles, and he, of course, later went to the Brewers, or Rangers and then the Brewers. And he would tell me, hey, you have to have X number of at-bats or X number of innings before we really feel good about promoting you. And a lot of people in the game back then in the late 80s, 90s, believe that. That, you're right, AJ, has completely gone away for a lot of reasons. Obviously, these guys get big money bonuses and people want to see them, teams want to see them as soon as possible, return on their investment. And some of them are quite capable of handling all this, as we've seen. You mentioned some very special cases, but it's not everyone. And maybe the answer is, in certain cases, to keep them down longer. Junior Caminero, the Rays kid we're talking about, he's 20 years old. Churio is, 20 years old. It's not as if you come out of the womb and you're ready to play Major League Baseball, and it's almost like that's what's being asked of these players.
Okay, let's hit some trade talk here. Time to spread some rumors. Never too early. Hey, my favorite is when
fans... I'm going to say one thing here off the top.
Okay.
That's a nice fancy graphic, but my job is not to spread rumors. It's to actually report on what's going on. Now, if you want me to speculate, I'll speculate. But I'm
spread
not
lies.
Well,
spread lies.
No, that's not the job.
We have the best crew behind
nice graphic,
the scenes.
Though.
So should we call it like Speculation City? Should we call it? We'll offline it, but
Kenny bullshit. That's what we're gonna call it.
Well, that's kind of what you're calling it right now. Yeah, spreading rumors.
All right. We'll work on that. If you're looking at this in YouTube, give us a comment on what you think we should call it. But fans say,
"Oh, that's gonna go well."
That will be entertaining. It will at least get some love. Point is, fans ask trade questions year round, right? Even in April.
Sure.
And a lot of times writers, many of your colleagues at The Athletic will be like, get back to me in 2 months. But then the Luis Suarez trade happens on like May 1st. And people are like, see, told you. So fine, we're giving the people what they want right now for a few minutes. Who is the most likely player to be traded over the next couple months or just leading up to the deadline?
This one I think I can answer with some degree of confidence. If he's healthy, Jesus Luzardo. Why do I say that? Well, we just saw the Marlins trade a two-time batting champion. They certainly would trade their most veteran pitcher and their best pitcher when healthy from this current group. Sandy's not healthy right now. Yuri Perez is not healthy. Jesus Luzardo is a guy who's making some money and is on the injured list currently. But once he's back, I would expect he'd be a guy that certainly will be discussed and likely moved.
Okay. So next up, who do you think will be traded that could surprise some people? Is there a name you have in mind that could be the shocker of the trade deadline? I mean, last year we certainly had a couple, including Scherzer and Verlander. You never would have expected that in April.
I will preface this by saying we didn't know that what you said, Scott, that Verlander and Scherzer would be even trade candidates at this time last year. There was not even a hint of thought about that. So when you ask me who the surprise is going to be, I'm guessing, and probably the surprise guys are going to be guys that we are not even talking about. A couple stand out to me just because they've been a little bit talked about already. One, if the Astros ever sold, which they claim they won't, would be Verlander. And he is a guy with a no trade clause. He's not necessarily going to want to go anywhere. That's one problem with this theory. The other problem is Jim Crane, the owner, is pretty adamant about keeping this team competitive. And they believe still that they have a good team. Their general manager, Dana Brown, said on MLB Network the other day that we're not selling. Okay, they're 12 under. As Eric was saying, they're in a bad spot. If they're 20 under at the deadline or whatever the case might be, guess what? They're not going to be able to be in such an obstinate position. They're going to need to look at some things. And at that point, would Verlander want to go? I don't know. But that is something certainly that would be interesting, because if the Astros sold, there are a whole lot of directions they can go in. Alex Bregman is a potential free agent. Framber Valdez up the year after this. Kyle Tucker as well. They haven't signed him. I mean, you can do 100 things. I'm not saying any of it's going to happen, but that is a team to watch. And the other team that we've been talking about quite a bit is the Blue Jays. And if the Blue Jays do not get into contention and do not feel confident in their team, as I've written and as I've said, they're going to face a reckoning. You haven't signed Guerrero. You haven't signed Bichette. You're probably not going to sign them if you haven't signed them at this point. They're less than 2 years away from free agency. Do you trade them, or do you simply keep it going and try to win with this team, a team that has not proven it can win? So those are a couple of early names, but again, I'll stress it's speculation. It's just guessing at this point. We don't know who is going to be out there. We don't know which teams. A week ago, for instance, guys, if you had said the Cardinals were potential sellers, I would have said, no way. They're going to wait and wait and wait and see where they are and hopefully come around and not sell. That would be the second straight year they did that. It would bode trouble for their baseball operations and everyone involved. Now with Contreras down for a couple of months, well, he was their best hitter. He's in the top 10 in the majors in OPS. The rest of the team is hitting below 215, I believe. Can you see it happening, perhaps? Yeah, you can see it happening. But again, there's so much time until the deadline. We're almost 3 months away still.
26-year-old shortstops don't always come up in trade rumors or speculation. What kind of market, even hitting 191 with one home run to this point, what kind of, not market, but what kind of returns could you see from Bo Bichette if the Blue Jays were able to put him out there on the market? And there would definitely be takers because everybody needs big league shortstops.
Let's see how he performs in the next couple of months, because if he gets hot again, people are going to say, whoa, yeah, let's go. Even if he doesn't, people are going to think, get him out of there, get him to a place where the team is contending and has a better way about them, whatever. He could bring, I would expect, some significant prospects. He has 2 pennant races left before he's a free agent. The Dodgers, just as an example, right? They're playing Mookie at shortstop. It's going fine. Probably better than they ever expected. You get Bo Bichette, you put Mookie at second, you do some other things. I mean, the world opens up, and other teams will look at it the same way, even if they have maybe a shortstop. Maybe it's a guy who can play another position. So I would expect the return would be good, presuming he's not hitting 150.
Okay, let's finish with a double down on the Cardinals, because fans are watching and listening and wondering if Ryan Helsley could be that big name for a team like the Baltimore Orioles. Even if Craig Kimbrel gets out of his slump, we've talked a lot about Mason Miller. Let's spend some time on Ryan Helsley. If Mason Miller does not get moved, could Helsley be that big-time closer that could help a team in the playoffs? And would a squad like the Orioles be the perfect fit? Because Craig Kimbrel, you could make a case, cost the Phillies their shot at the World Series last year. He blew 2 games in that NLCS. And I think no matter what happens, even if he goes on a heater the next couple months, people are going to be nervous about the 9th inning in Baltimore.
I would agree with Scott with that. And he's been removed from 2 straight save opportunities. Not a good sign. And Craig Kimbrel's accomplished a lot. There's no doubt about that. But is he the guy to take you all the way through October? I don't know that you can say that at this stage of his career. We explained or explored this at great length on Fair Territory today, the idea of Helsley to the Orioles. Helsley's making $3.8 million. At the deadline, it'll be less than $2 million, less than probably $1.7 million. So he's affordable for any team. He also has another year of club control. Now, the prerequisite here is the Cardinals having to sell, deciding that they want to sell. Again, I don't see it happening, but if he is out there, absolutely, he is a guy that would appeal, of course, not just to the Orioles, but to every contender. You guys said every team wants a shortstop. Every team wants a closer even more. So I can see that. And Mason Miller is going to be a really interesting test of the A's and where they are. Because certainly he was hurt last year. He is a guy who throws a zillion miles an hour, but is he the guy that you're going to open in Vegas with in 5 years or whatever the case might be? No, probably not. So I could see them trying to maximize his value. But as I've said repeatedly, at the same time, at some point this team has to keep some players and actually try. And they're going to Sacramento next year. They claim they're going to be ramping up for Vegas. Well, let's see it.
I have to start by just making sure the lights work for him for his entrance. I don't know if you caught that interview, Cam, but Mason was like, yeah, I would do a cool entrance out of the bullpen. But if they turn the lights off, I don't know if they'll go back on. We're just here.
Line.
It was so good. It was so good. So he's got the personality to go along with the wild thing and the 9th inning action for the real life major league team. Ken, thank you so much for breaking this all down. Everyone check out Fair Territory 2 that just released live today, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. And here it is. We can show it for everyone too. Fair Territory is Mondays and Thursdays, wherever you get your podcasts, and also on the Foul Territory YouTube channel. Check it out. Alana and Ken today answering many of your questions. Some of those questions that we went over and then kind of asked follow-ups on came from the show, which we watch leading up to our show, 1 o'clock Eastern time every single day. Subscribe. Okay. This is big. Do you know what's coming up next?
I can't believe it's really happening.
Okay. This is a big, we have to take people don't like when you have inside jokes and they feel like they're on the outside. I feel this way too. Sometimes you'll watch a show, like a sports show or listen to a radio show, and they'll be like, oh, Tommy's going to love this. And I'm like, why? I don't know, what your producer's talking about. So our superstar producer, Claudia, was producing other shows today. She has been campaigning,
pushing
for us to get back to
a little pushy sometimes
batting stance. And this is just organically happening. The day that she's not producing, we're getting back to the batting stance. So
she's going to be so mad.
This is for you. This is for you. You're the best.
I love this game.
Do you?
I do. Yeah. I really like this game.
He's really good. So are you.
I don't know that I'm really good.
You guys are very efficient. All right, well, we're starting, okay?
I mean, apparently we just jumped right into it.
We just started.
What's this? Okay.
It's a left-handed hitter.
Oh.
Kyle Tucker?
I never get that when not Kyle Tucker. I never get that when high school kids are like, lefty! Like, was everybody not awake? Like, of course he's left-handed. He's standing in the left-handed batter's box. Anyway.
I don't know. Your team do that when you coach them?
No, my team does not. The other teams do it, and I'm flabbergasted by it. Anyway, continue.
You continue.
I have no idea who that is. Cody Clemens.
Cody Clemens?
I don't know.
Wow.
Just because he went deep the other day.
I mean, just put it in. Good for you. If you got that, not even close to right.
I got something right.
He's 27. Oh, no, NL East. Is that what that says? Or NL West?
Well, Cody Clemens is in the NL East, so.
Does it say NL East or West?
I can't see what it says. NL East.
Has to be
okay.
East.
So he's in the NL East.
He's not American.
Okay. So
he doesn't play first base. He's close to 27.
People in the chat are trying.
Mets, National. It's got to be a Nationals guy because I would know it. C.J. Abrams.
Jesse Winker.
Oh, Jesse Winker, good one.
Which one you want?
Jesse Winker.
Let's go Winker.
Or not.
No, I always thought his bat was a little bit more straighter.
Yeah, and he's more like...
We probably do need... At this point, we do need Claude because whoever's doing this cannot type.
Yeah, that's okay. Maybe we'll send a letter. In. Well, looks like the game's not working. This is why Claudia never does it.
Sometimes there's like a dude who doesn't register.
Jesse Winker didn't pop up.
I don't know.
Okay.
What about...
wait, it said he's not American, so why did we say Jesse Winker?
What about Jesus Sanchez of the Marlins?
Okay, we'll try that one.
Oh, his swing is violent.
Shout out to Trey for the offering.
But... Not Marlins, not Phillies, but he's in the NL East.
Is it Jared Kelenic? Is that Jared Kelenic's first home run the other day? Is that swing?
There's no.
Oh, he's not American.
Not American.
Yeah, no, not American.
I keep forgetting that.
Keibert Ruiz. Let's try Keibert Ruiz. We're just going to go through all the teams.
Name that Nationals lefty.
I forgot he was a switch hitter. Look at you. Look at you.
There he is.
Boom.
Good job, Trey.
I have a tough time with the switch hitting. With the switch hitter swings.
I just have a hard time with this if I don't know him right off the bat.
Okay.
Oh, Castellanos.
Oh, that's Castellanos. Yeah, that one's easy. Bat drop gives it away.
Mm-hmm.
Now all we need is a little kid running around to pick his bat up.
Liam?
Yeah.
Liam, hey, Castellanos, you might want to start taking the over. Liam just got finished with school, and so he's been in Philly the last few days, and Nick's been raking.
Ooh, bat flip. Who gave the bat flip the other day?
Max. Didn't Max Muncy give a good bat flip?
I don't
It
think
doesn't look like his swing,
that's
but
not Max though. Someone else did that the other day, and we talked. Oh my gosh, we talked about it.
Is that Verdugo? No, Verdugo like stands like.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we talked about him. Is that Profar?
I don't hate it. Go for it.
None of them are right. Wait.
Ooh, position.
Position what?
What position is Profar? Shortstop. He's a shortstop.
Left field?
It's not a shortstop.
Everybody on the Padres is a shortstop.
Right.
So AL
shortstop when he was
West,
19.
Gosh, we just Benintendi. Andrew Benintendi. Book it.
I hope it's Benintendi and you didn't get it right away. You are the worst.
I just said he bat flipped and we talked about it. And he bat flipped and we talked about it.
Yes, you did. Oh, look how much happier. Scotty, look at his face right now. He's so much happier.
Wait until you see my lock.
He's competitive.
Ooh. Jose Abreu is who it looks like, but he never hits a ball like that anymore. He looks too skinny, but
that's not Cal Raleigh's swing, is it?
They do guys that are in Palm Beach League.
Let's try Cal Raleigh. This is the last one.
Not a catcher in the
AL West.
Short Shib in the chat just goes super generic.
Generic swing? Generic big league swing. I like that.
Are we sure it's not Jose Abreu? I said Jose Abreu, but nobody listened.
Brent Roker?
AL West is right. I can't see the things.
Brent Roker?
Aaron in the chat said, what about Jeremy Pena?
Oh, Jeremy.
He's got a different hand placement when he starts. How about Roker?
I don't know a Roker. I know an Al Roker. Brent Rooker?
Oh, Rooker. Sorry.
Yeah. Al doesn't swing like that.
Al Roker, Brent Rooker.
Sorry, Griffel.
Al uses it as a pointer to say, in this neck of the country.
That was a griffle, especially since I play with Rook.
Yeah, exactly. How about Luke
So he's
Raley?
not a Mariner. He's not an Astro. So he's got to be a Ranger or an Angel. Joe Adele? Oh. I'm just trying an Angel.
Bat speed.
Just trying a random Angel.
It's J-O. That's it. Just Joe Adele.
Yeah.
Bang, bang, bang. AJ wins.
Nice.
Some good bat speed. Team USA teammate. Olympic qualifiers. Just saying.
What's up with Joe?
He just hasn't been able to put it. He makes some dumb base running mistakes too.
Yeah.
He just hasn't been able to put it together.
That's one thing. Like if that was the only thing, though, I'd be like, all right, we'll figure that out. But
will you? How are you going to figure that out?
The base running? If the base running was the biggest problem.
No, the base running mistakes are not just base running mistakes. When you make the mistakes that some people make, maybe you're just not like fully tuned in and like locked in. Like he has elite physical talent.
Of course.
Bat speed through the roof. Some Angel scouts that scout their own team told my buddy, who is the manager of the AAA team, that they had him down as an 80 in some categories. Some of their scouts had him down Hall of Fame status before he ever made the big leagues. So physical skills are there. Adjustability and things is what makes you realize your physical skills.
Mm-hmm. And to be fair,
he's doing all right. He's got over 800 OPS right now. So
yeah. He's looked better. He's had better results than he's ever had, but it's 80 at bats.
Attention to detail, which is Ron Washington's MO, EY's MO. Maybe that'll help him. Maybe that'll connect with them. And he's showing dividends right now. Like, you get a hot week or two, and he's going to be on the All-Star ballot.
True.
Strikeouts are down a little bit for him this year, which is good.
Well, with his at-bats, the one thing that stood out to me from what I've seen is more aggressive, a little less passive, even outside of the zone. Like,
compared to last year?
Yeah. Putting more in play, if I had to guess. I mean, I'll look up numbers on the fly here, but I think he's looked more aggressive. That can hurt your quality of contact, right? But at some point, you have to be like, screw it. I got to change it up. So
I haven't seen it enough.
He can get to more baseballs. He is definitely more aggressive overall. Yes, he's a roller coaster on the bases, but
we'll
see.
Talent.
Whatever he's doing.
Yeah, he's ultimately talented.
Yeah, keep it. And that's why some Angels fans, or just some baseball fans in general, have been like pretty disappointed because it's been a while now. But how old do you think he is? 25?
Not even, I don't think.
I bet he's 24. But you talk about like
25.
People are comparing, like people see him and hear about him as a number one, top 5 prospect kind of guy. And you sit there and you go, why is he not in an All-Star game yet? Sometimes it takes longer for other guys. Like that's okay. We just talked about it with how many at-bats you need in the minor leagues. If you're not getting them, maybe you need them in the big leagues. But he has the talent to be a multi-year All-Star.
Yeah, and what did Ken say about his prospects article? AAA pitching is very, very, very far away from Major League hitting. Yeah, so it's just very different. All right, let's do some picks. I'm ice cold. I got hooked last night by a Jared Kelenic catch. I'm getting way too cute, and it's pissing me off.
You suck,
I wanted to do a run line.
Boom!
I'm losing it, but Kratz nailed it. Easily sailed by. That was bad. I don't know why I said that. He easily cruised by his strikeout prop. It just came out, and the Braves won. So good job, Kratz.
There's a lot of K props. There's a lot of K props last night that hit for me. Some unders: Jordan Montgomery under, Ashcraft under. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones.
Well, Kratz is on a heater. So you start.
All right. I'm going back to some more K props. At the weird 5 o'clock start game, going to give the Astros kind of a getaway day, right in the middle of traffic for Yankees fans, but hey, 5 o'clock start. Ronel Blanco is going to go over 4.5 Ks. He's averaging 6+ Ks, and he's hit it in all but one of his starts so far this year. The Yankees strike out kind of mid-level, but Ronel will be able to get me 5. And Stroman, facing the team that strikes out at only 17% clip, the lowest in the league, will only get 4 strikeouts. So I'm taking the under of 4.5. Over Ronel Blanco 4.5, under Stroman 4.5, and that's coming out at plus 195.
Nice. Plus 195 on that, John. I'll go Tobias Myers, the rookie for the Milwaukee Brewers, who hasn't pitched much yet. He had 3 starts, 9 runs, 13 innings. He's got good stuff, though. You can see it if you watch it. It just has not converted yet. It's been 5 minutes. He's given up 9 runs in 13 innings. Stuff Plus models have him well above average, I think, on at least 2 or 3 pitches. Let's see, changeup, cutter. Expected stats have been better than the results. It's the Cardinals' offense right now. They just lost Contreras. In general, their offense has not performed well against right-handed pitching. And so he's at 3.5 Ks. I'm going over. It's at minus 130. It's a little heavy for me to lay down, but that's about my line usually at a minus 130 number. I got to get back on the board. And I think that the 3.5 is there because of the fear of him not going too deep into this start, a rested bullpen. But we're also starting up a fresh 4-game series. So
with a division.
Yeah, I'm going to give benefit of the doubt that he's going to get me at least 4 innings and get to 4 Ks. And we'll see what happens. 130 to win a hundo. You?
Okay. Hey, Hawk. Hey, DJ. Who should I pick today? You're dadgum right. You should pick the White Sox to win today. So guess who I picked? Because Hawk and DJ said it. And also this tells me on here, AJ, you suck. Which Hawk signed it. Love you, Hawk. But I am taking the White Sox to win. Money line, baby. They're plus 140. Who are they playing? The Guardians. You know why? Because the Guardians, they just took 2 out of 3 from the Tigers. They're all riding high. They had to fly to Chi-Town. They're going to be a little bit tired. Probably went out a little bit too late. Not that anybody would ever do that. White Sox throwing their best guy, Eric Fetty. He's been dealing his last 2 times out. And Lively's pitching for the Guardians. So I'm taking the money line. White Sox straight up, bam, for $300 to win 420. We back, baby. We back.
I have never been more of a White Sox fan than I am today. I love Scott's pick, and I love AJ's pick. And I want the FT parlay to hit. I want it to hit tonight. Plus 1,500.
Wow. Plus 1,500. All right, let's get it done. I didn't touch that game for good reason because I felt like this could be a decent steady start. I'm like, I'm saying I didn't touch the White Sox.
Why?
I pick on them a lot too.
The White Sox are going to win.
They could win this game.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
they got KBO MVP pitching tonight, baby.
Eric Fetty looks damn good. So do you, Jamie Foxx. Give it to us. The $1,500 first bet offer from Steam and Willie Beeman. If you use the bonus code FOUL when you hit up the BetMGM Sportsbook app for the first time and sign up and deposit at least $10 into a new account, place your first wager and get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. If that happens, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Do you think Jamie Foxx at his house has that many leather-bound books and he actually has that guy hitting a baseball in his library at his house?
I think he can technically do whatever he wants. He's that rich and successful.
Does he blame it on the alcohol, though?
That's a classic. Man's done a lot. He's very accomplished. Let's do some digging.
He smells like rich mahogany.
Mm-hmm.
Good one here from Bob Nightingale. He said the Dodgers may be winning now 7 in a row as they swept up their homestand. Good job. You beat the Marlins. But they're killing beer sales. He said they played 5 games in 2 hours and 25 minutes or less, including that last game of the series against Miami, which went 1 hour 55. He said the last time the Dodgers had a longer streak of 2 hour, 25-minute games or less was late July of 1977. And thank you to the great Sarah Langs for digging up that stat. But this is a real problem, Kratz. This is the team that leads the world in Major League attendance every year. They have an international sensation or 2 on their team. They're selling tickets left and right. People show up late because the traffic is challenging to get into the ballpark. So how many people do you think go to a Dodgers game in the last week and they get there an hour late? And they've got 45 minutes of baseball to watch.
Show up on time.
I don't feel bad for people who are late to anything. If you miss something because you're late, I don't feel bad.
What if they're coming from work?
I don't feel
You get
bad.
off at work at 5 and you can't make the game at 7?
I have a buddy who was hitting the Angels game the other day, and he was going to go early for BP and all that, and I'm texting with him back and forth. I'm like, did you get there? He was going to go on the field, and he was like, it took an extra hour. I got screwed. He came right from work. I said, you got to leave work early. He said, I can't.
I don't know. Guggenheim's not sitting here going, I know we just donated $50 million to charity. I hope beer sales is up. I don't think we're worried about the time of the game.
Yeah.
Why are
Agreed.
you whispering in my ear?
No. I was blowing kisses and waving and saying hi to Clint and Alana. Dodgers territory. If you want to hear more from them, they're coming up
Territory.
in 7 minutes. So anyway, get to the games early enough.
You know what we need to do? We need to have a little Dodgers. You know, there's Dodgers Braves, like a little, like it's competition right now. I wouldn't say they're rivals because they're not in the same division. Listen, I know how well Hammer territory is going. Dodgers fans, if like you don't want to be outdone by the Braves, you might want to start telling your friends about Dodgers territory. Like
True.
to beat Hammer territory. I'm not saying. I mean, it's fine if the Dodgers fans don't want to win. It's totally fine. Just make sure you know that the Braves fans are beating you in their support of their Hammer territory. So, just saying.
Right now, there is a clear edge for Dodgers territory via YouTube and for Hammer territory via audio. So,
by the way, Pablo Lopez, the bet I wanted today, over 8.5 Ks, he's got 9. I'm just saying, Kratz.
Did he really?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I said. I asked you, and you said, no, that's not what I wanted.
Well, I didn't want to ruin it.
8.5, and he hit 9. I couldn't. Yesterday was.
Paddock was easy money yesterday.
No, Paddock was easy money. No, the one I took with Sale, 7.5. I feel like that's just such a high number. I've seen some glass now. Shoot, Strider last year was a 9.5 against the Phillies, and he got like 10 or 11. That's just so high. That's a lot of punchies.
Yeah, it makes me nervous. I'd rather SGP it and buy down a K or two, but good for you. Mike Ford is starting for the Reds today. Congrats, he's back. He was supposed to go fishing with his dad, but you can go fishing any day.
Mike Ford was wanting to come on the show and say how upset he was because he was doing well and there was no big league time for him, and he got to go hit at Todd's facility. So if you care that what Mike Ford does, he got right in Todd's house. He was whacking in the cage. So
there you go.
Mike Ford's ready.
He is signed
is that the
now
guy
with
that
the
was
Reds.
supposed to come on and didn't?
Mike Ford? Well, he's been on.
No, but he was at Todd's house, and we're like, yo, get him to come on. And Todd's like, I don't know if I can do that. Yeah.
Live.
Now
we're going to try to get his fat head on live, but
yeah,
couldn't fit it in the screen.
Didn't fit in the single.
One more. So they're starting a new fan section in Baltimore called The Pasture for Colton Cowser.
I like it.
It's awesome.
I love when fans get involved. I love when the owners get involved. Mr. Splash. Now we got to get Adam Jones to be Mr. Cow.
The Pasture?
They moo. They don't boo.
You think it would have been no good? When I heard The Pasture was coming out, you think it would have been no good? Cowser's Steak Zone for RBIs?
No, RBIs don't matter.
Or is that killing cows, and so we're not encouraging the death to cows?
Pasture is his happy place. He gets to eat grass all day. He moos. He bashes homers. Steak is like if the Orioles get swept in the playoffs. No?
I mean, I get what you're saying. But The Pasture, that's neat. Some little kids dress up in cow unis.
Mm-hmm.
I can wear my Udder Tuggers hat when I go to the game.
Exactly. Oh, it'll be very popular if you do that. Let's slap hands. Kratz hats, bring it.
If I had a new walkout song, that would be my walkout song.
Should be. You know who that is?
Another off-color red hat for a navy blue team. Columbus Clippers. Ring your bells.
I don't like that red. Sorry, Columbus. I don't like that red. It's a C-. It's like, where's Waldo? I don't know. It's too much for me.
Yeah.
I can't handle
like
it.
red.
Yeah.
I don't like red.
Well, no, whatever you had
red.
the other day was
red.
working. The maroon with the cream, that was flowing. AJ, do you have something you'd like to tell everyone? Or were you last night?
At a baseball game?
Yeah.
Oh, that's my guy.
You wore your own jersey?
Yeah. And the camo shorts, too. I love that dude. That's Art Man.
He wears your jersey a lot?
Every game. He wears it every game. He has
the same one?
Yes, and he even has it. He has a pocket sewn in the inside of it, too.
For cigarettes?
I don't know for what, but he brings me food when I'm in Minnesota all the time. That dude's awesome. I love Art Man.
So it's really Art Man.
By the way, people are starting to do this to me on Twitter all the time. Every time they see one of my jerseys, send it to me. So keep them coming, kids.
I love it. I love when your jersey gets seen at random places, airports.
Easy retweet.
Yeah, people on Twitter now are sending them to me. So keep them coming. I'll keep posting them. You guys keep sending them because
AJ,
makes me laugh.
Do you think you could go to a game? You could choose any game, obviously not a team that you played for, and wear your Pierzynski jersey to any of those games and not be recognized. Like you go to an Oakland Astros game wearing a Minnesota Twins AJ Pierzynski jersey, do you think you'd be recognized?
Maybe Oakland because no one's there.
Maybe Oakland would be the best.
That's what I'm saying. You choose
Houston. Somebody. Here's what: if I could choose any stadium, it would be like
Florida.
I would say like a Marlins game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Rockies game.
Oakland won't work because we support what's going on there.
Rockies
for Oakland
maybe
fans, and they know
a Rockies game.
FT fans, keep your phones out. AJ's going to do this. If you find AJ wearing a Pierzynski jersey, we will send you a free merch from the free merch site.
Wow. Just handing things out.
I'll pay for the shirt.
I guess we're not getting any because I ain't wearing that.
No, it's not happening.
That's why I'll pay for the shirt. I want to see AJ wear his own jersey to a game.
Never happens.
I tell you what, I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to tell anybody. And if anybody does it, and then Kratz will buy you 5 shirts, 5 hats, 5 trucker hats, and 5 hoodies. That's the deal.
Kratz will not do that.
There's the music. That means the contest is over. Logan O'Hoppe making his FT debut tomorrow. Star catcher on the Angels, having a great year. Jason Kipnis will be on with us tomorrow. Kratz is there. You're on Fox
I'm at graduation.
On Saturday.
My daughter's graduating high school.
No.
So
Graduation weekend.
Congrats.
And thanks to everyone that checks out this show at night. I know some people are at work, then they send questions, and then they find out we already answered them. So we read your mind. You know who I'm talking about. Dodgers territory. Stay here. Watch it.